This bonus episode is sponsored by TWFG Hatem Insurance. Find hundreds of insurance carriers and create the policy that fits your needs best. As you count your blessings this holiday season, don't forget to insure what matters most to you. Use the QR code or link in the show notes to learn more. TWFG Hatem Insurance. Their policy is caring.
Don't keep things in your back pocket. That is the most easily accessible location for pickpockets. Pickpockets.
Uh-oh.
I can't pocket pick. What are we talking about?
Talking about pickpockets.
Pickpockets. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Say it
For
right.
people trying to steal things from you. Let's just do it that way. It's the holiday season, so pack your bags, lock your doors, and don't forget to do all your chores. Because just exactly at 12 o'clock, we'll be heading on out of town. There you go. What do you think?
That's perfect.
Oh, no. Oh,
I
no.
feel so festive.
I tried. It's our little...
That's great. It's really the jingle bell sound effects.
That is around our home at all times.
Yeah, and as Jessie alluded to, welcome to the holiday season, and of course that means the traveling and shopping and entertaining season. But we wanted to bring you this special edition of Off the Record, an FBI agent's perspective about the holidays, because there is a lot that goes on this time of year. It is extremely busy. Our routines and schedules and all of our normal life is very much disrupted, pretty much between Thanksgiving and kind of Super Bowl Sunday. But particularly during that month of December when we're doing a lot of Christmas, Hanukkah oriented entertaining and shopping and gathering and traveling. So I'm Clark Donley, along with retired FBI agent, Special Agent Harry Trombitas, Jessie Hemmelgarn. We're going to share with you some advice that we've come across from the experts on how to avoid some pretty common pitfalls that we can fall into during this holiday season. So which one of you would like to start?
Well, I want to start by just reminding everyone that one of the many reasons all of these things happen is being distracted, right? Our to-do lists are 7 times longer than usual. We have travel if we're traveling. We have guests if we're having guests. We have gifts. We have all kinds of things that we wouldn't normally have on our plate, which leads us to be really distracted and more susceptible and vulnerable. So we just want to start with those things. So anytime you can laser in and focus and eliminate your distractions, you're going to be in a lot better position.
That's true. I mentioned traveling. When we're going to the airport or whether we're on the road, one of the things that we all should remember to keep ourselves safe and our possessions safe and even the home we left behind safe.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the whole process. I think most people go through it when they're getting ready to travel. And just some general travel tips. First of all, make sure that however you travel, that you don't broadcast on social media that hey, everybody, I'm going away for 2 weeks. There'll be nobody home. We're putting the dog in the kennel or a kennel. It's like when I see these people talk about, where they're going and, on Facebook and then show pictures of, and tomorrow we're going to this location. And it basically advertises that, you're not going to be home. And so anybody that's out there that happens to be on your friends list, and even those beyond might take that as an opportunity to, maybe burglarize your home, for example. So, again, I would keep comments about my travel and that very close to the vest, maybe only let, family members know or some close friends. But as far as publicizing, hey, you're going to be gone for a period of time, I think that's really kind of a bad idea.
Let's jump in on social media then, since you kind of brought it up. It's not just on your travel day. So it's also preparing. There's lots of us in parent Facebook groups, community Facebook groups that ask for recommendations. If you're before the holiday and you're saying, hey, where do you kennel your dog? You're not telling me when you're going, but you're telling me you're going. So you really are subliminally giving people hints that you might not even realize. And then when you are traveling, making sure your location is not on your social media. We'll talk about location on your phone later, but when you're plugging into places in social media, you're A, letting people know you're not at home, but B, you're also letting people know where you are. Like if someone's trying to find you for any reason, or if there are criminals in your resort or area, you're letting people know exactly where you are at that moment in time. Using really popular hashtags is also linking you to other large groups like vacation mode or can't wait to stay. Any large hashtags like that are making yourself more susceptible. And also making sure that when you can, not using the Wi-Fi if you're traveling for anywhere internationally or domestically. If you're using that Wi-Fi that's provided by wherever you're staying, making sure you're not doing critical information. We had a friend who just traveled on a hotel Wi-Fi. Her Facebook account was hacked and then proceeded to continue to be hacked later and later and later. So making sure that when you are on a general Wi-Fi or information like that, you're not logging into accounts you wouldn't want people to see. Mostly do what we should be doing on vacation, check out of social media. And when you come back, feel free to share all of the fun that you had.
And, it's critical. Again, we're kind of jumping around just a hair, but, talking about using hotel, motel, Wi-Fi, or even at the airport, you've got to have a VPN, a privacy network set up so that the bad guys basically can't hack into your information in that. So you got to take those safeguards everywhere that you go, no matter where you travel. Make sure whatever Wi-Fi that you're on, that you use your VPN and set that up so that you can conduct business or do whatever you need to do on your phone or on your iPad.
And if you don't know how to do that, that's pretty easy to find, or ask any teenager, because they all do it, to hack into overseas Netflix. They're like, I like Netflix to think I'm in Europe. I get better access to these shows. I swear they did it all the time. So if you don't know how to, ask a neighbor teen or child.
Right.
They will be happy to show you.
And Harry, tell us about flying for the holidays.
Okay. When we're getting ready to fly, we go through a process. I think we all do it. It's more than just, okay, I'm leaving on such and such a date, and that morning you wake up and you go. There's a lot of thought that should go into preparing to travel. And the first thing, just randomly here, I'll mention some things, but it never ceases to amaze me how people will show up at the airport and forget that they have a gun in their bag.
Really? That's common?
Oh, absolutely. If you're a firearm, and there's a lot of people that own firearms, at TSA will tell you repeatedly that they're finding through the check-in process people that have packed firearms into their luggage. And I remember when I was in the FBI, I used to get called to the airport quite a bit to interview and arrest individuals who tried to board a plane with a handgun, and a fully loaded handgun. And I remember talking to one of the guys, an older gentleman, and he goes, I'm in sales. I carry my firearm with me everywhere. I just forgot that it was in my bag. And I'm thinking to myself, how irresponsible are you in the first place if you don't even know that you have a gun in your travel bag and you're going to the airport? I know it happens with people. So, one of the first things that you do if you're a firearms user or you own firearms, and that is make sure if you travel, you have an empty bag and you're not taking that firearm with you unless you go through the TSA approved method, having the hard case and separating your ammunition and your firearm and locking that case and going to the check-in counter first. Don't take it down to towards the where you
Security, right?
security line.
Yeah.
You check it in at the where you check in your luggage and that. Make sure that you do that at the counter there before traveling down to security. Always make sure that you check the flight information. In today's age, we see so many cancellations and so many reschedules and delays, and that. Make sure that before you leave home, that you take the time to take a look at whether your flight is on schedule and that. Certainly arriving early never ceases to amaze me how, I think I'm getting there way early, and yet something happens, and at the last minute, I'm cutting it kind of close. So even if I try to leave early, sometimes things can happen. A traffic accident can occur out on the highway that prevents you to, getting to the airport on time, all kinds of things. So you got to make sure that you're really leaving home plenty early so that you can accompany all those different things that might happen along the way. Bring an acceptable ID, like a real ID. Now, when we talk about real IDs, we're talking about driver's licenses or state identification that have the star.
Remember, a lot of those have changed too in the last few years. So making sure that your ID is up to date and qualifies as a real ID is important.
And they keep pushing the date back. So there for a while, it was last year or the year before, and they keep pushing the date forward because they don't think people are prepared. And so right now, the date that if you want to fly, you better have a real ID, that ID with the star by May 7th of 2025 is the deadline. So,
but could be subject to change if you're watching this podcast back later.
May get pushed back even further. I don't think it'll be pushed forward, but back. And, use things like TSA pre-check. So many times people get to the airport, they're kind of running late, and now they got to stand in the security checkpoint. If you take a few minutes before you travel and you join something like TSA pre-check or global entry, something like that, it can save you a lot of time at the airport and that. So consider doing things like that. I already mentioned packing firearms according to TSA standards. Listen to and respect the frontline employees, TSA, and the police that are there. They're trying their best to get people through as fast as possible, but you got to make sure that you listen to what they say and abide by what they're saying. Otherwise, they're not going to mess around with you anymore. And that's certainly not the place for you to make silly comments like, "Oh, I got to make sure I have my bomb with me here."
Not appropriate. Classroom teacher says no.
Yes. No joking around. It's all business. You can be friendly, you can be nice, but don't make comments about having a bomb or you got to hide your gun or something like that.
No, yeah. Unless you're friendly.
That's not going to go over well. And if you're traveling international, for example, make sure that, again, your passports are up to date. I know of two different people here recently that had to contact their congressman because they forgot to check the expiration date on their passports and, had to get an expedited passport. And they were very fortunate that they were able to get that done in a timely fashion, because it takes at least 6 months for you to get a passport anymore. Now,
it can, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and my understanding too is now you can do it online.
Yeah.
Yes, if you have a pre-existing passport. And a
Okay.
lot of like libraries too, you can work on the application and go to your local library. Lots of centers will have like dates where you can go and they'll help you with the application too if
I
you
think
need
the
that.
post office is the same way. If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yeah, but they like an appointment, so bear that in mind. You can't just walk
Right.
up like you're buying stamps. They're going to want you to make an appointment. But yeah,
Same,
Jesse,
yeah,
you're
same with the
absolutely right.
library.
Yeah, renewing online is a pretty quick fix.
And if you have different kinds of documents, like make copies of your passport, your TSA pre-check, or your global entry card, your credit cards, things like that that are important for when you're traveling, and that just in case you have them stolen or happen to lose something, you at least have a document that you can show somebody that hey, I had this. Here it is. Unfortunately, it got lost or stolen. I'm in the process of trying to get a new one, but here's my existing one, electronically saved here.
Yeah.
While we're on documents too, don't forget that if you're traveling with children, they need documents as well. That's just important to note that a lot of kids don't necessarily have a driver's license if they're younger. And if you have a different last name than your kids, copies of their birth certificates is always helpful. God forbid you get into a medical emergency or you are traveling and someone needs to verify that you are in fact that parent of record. I know if you have a different last name, that can make it kind of difficult.
Okay. Good tip.
Absolutely. And, I remember taking a trip to Canada. Barb was working and she couldn't go to Canada. I'm going to take the kids to Niagara Falls and someplace up in Canada. And I remember trying to get through the Canadian border with my two children, my own two children. They were very, no, I wouldn't say skeptical, but they read, they asked me a lot of questions to confirm that these were my children and that I wasn't taking my children and fleeing the country. And, so, I mean,
Or someone
be
else's
prepared.
children.
If I would have had I didn't even think about having their birth certificates or anything like that at the time. But, had I had that, and maybe even, I don't know, if I would have had a letter from my wife, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I'm glad they're asking, but just be prepared that they will ask.
Research travel advisories where you're going. So if you're flying to another country, and check and see what's going on. You can do that on the State Department website. Sign up for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. This is a STEP program. This notifies the embassies and in the other countries and that you're traveling there, and they will put you on a list and will send you advisory warnings and things if anything happens to change over in another country. So that it might make it a little more might need to be a little more careful when you're traveling, that based on what's going on in that particular country. And that, so get on that STEP program. It doesn't cost you a thing. You do it online. We typically notify our credit card companies. We only take a couple of credit cards. You don't have to take every credit card that you have. Take a couple, just to make sure if they don't accept, for example, American Express or Visa, you have another backup card in that. So, and make sure that you notify those credit card companies that you're traveling. Again, you can do that online. You don't want to get someplace and all of a sudden you can't use your card because the credit card company notices that there's some unusual travel going on here, and might try to put a hold on your credit card until you can clear that up. So take care of that ahead of time if you can. We talked about be careful with public Wi-Fi. Use a VPN. Get travel insurance. The old saying is, if you can't afford travel insurance, you can't afford to travel. And
I haven't heard that one, but it makes sense.
and it really, you really need to have travel insurance to make sure that your travel plans and that are safeguarded, or you can at least get some reimbursement, and that should things go wrong during your travel and that. So always good idea to have some travel insurance. When you're in another country and that, understand that pickpocketing is a huge deal. And there are some countries that are notorious for having groups of pickpockets that pocket pickers, pickpockets. Oh, well, anyway, that the people that will pick your pocket and take your
It
wallet.
sounds like one of those nursery rhymes. Peter Piper picked a peck of picket puckers. But yeah, we get it.
Leave it to me to screw it up. But absolutely. Don't keep things in your back pocket. That is the most easily accessible location for pickpockets. Pickpockets.
Uh-oh.
I can't pocket pick. What are we talking about?
Talking about pickpockets.
Pickpockets.
Pickpocket.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Saying it
For
right.
people trying to steal things from you. Let's just do it that way.
sounds
For
so
people
weird.
trying to steal things. I know. And
That's
bags,
awful.
like bags with like a strap that's easily cut is something you want to be careful of too.
I was just going to say the same thing. Put your wallet in your front pants pocket if you're a man. If you're a woman and you're carrying a bag, keep the bag close to you under your arm. Don't have it out just flopping around and that, because again, someone can easily grab that and take off. And another thing I would mention is have an idea of how to call the police in an emergency situation when you're traveling to another country. For example, some countries use 999. They don't use 911 to signify an emergency and that. So depending on where you're going, do a little research ahead of time, find out what's going on in the country, find out if you have an emergency while you're traveling. How do you summon the police for assistance in that? So those are some of the things that I would recommend when you're flying to another location and that. As far as general traveling, again, take at least 2 credit cards. Really, you don't need to take all of them. Don't take a lot of cash. Again, you lose cash, and that's pretty much all you have. You're going to have a very short trip. So, most places take credit cards and things now. Again, provide your itinerary to a relative or close friend, but don't broadcast it on social media. Schedule a house watch with the local police or sheriff's office. I know in Dublin, for example, they have a house watch program where you let the Dublin police know when you're leaving, when you're coming back, who an emergency contact would be, who has a key to your residence, if they need to get in, for example. So try to set those things up ahead of time. You could stop your mail and packages. Go online, to the United States Postal Service, and you can stop the mail, so that it doesn't pile up in your mailbox and that. And then also don't order things from like Amazon or whatever. If you're going to be traveling, you want to make sure that nothing comes to your house and is sitting out on your front porch while you're gone. Certainly, you can ask a neighbor if you can't help it. A package is going to come while you're gone, to have a neighbor pick it up for you and hold it. So again, those are other kinds of safety tips that I would suggest. When you're traveling in that. How about you guys? Did we cover it all, or?
If you still get a newspaper actually delivered to your house, just like the mail, Harry, get on the newspaper's
What?
website.
What's a
and I know-
newspaper? Just
Well, it's-
kidding.
yeah.
Just kidding.
You can do that on the newspaper's website. Same as the post office. Just a quick click. Just stop delivery for 10 days and resume on whatever day you're going to want it to come back. So that's just another thing. But again, something that people of Jesse's age, or a lot of people, might not think about, even if they are getting the paper delivered, they forget that they think those things also pile up on your porch if you don't tell them to stop bringing it. And that's a sure sign you're not home.
Right. Absolutely. And, leave some lights on, put them on a timer so that they come on in the evening at dusk that
I,
gives an indication again that you might be home. And
I
so,
just got a wall plug from Amazon. It's something they make that goes with Alexa, and you can set it up so that your lights come on, and the lights on that plug come on and off at a certain time. Same kind of idea. Just set it up so that every night at a certain time it comes on and shows like you're home, and then turns off at a certain time. Look, it looks like you went to bed, but you're still home.
yeah, you can, we have hue lights that we can set up to come on at sunrise sunset, and then turn off at sunrise. Those kinds of things. You don't even have to worry about it. They automatically come on and come off and that. So I agree, Clark. That's a good thing to do, and it's not expensive. You can set it up even through Alexa.
Yeah.
Well, to turn on and off certain lights and that. So
It's good to have a smart home. If you're like me, and you're not a particularly smart homeowner.
All right. So we've established what to do if you're traveling. So let's talk another big holiday. We are out shopping. We are in stores. We are particularly vulnerable, both online shopping and in-person shopping. We've talked a little bit in earlier episodes about safety tips, about making sure that you keep your head on a swivel, your head's not buried in a phone, and you're aware of your surroundings. Harry, any other quick, when you're in the store, what kind of safety tips would you just want people to remember briefly?
Well, I think it's important for you to take a look around and see where the exits are. Again, it's not doesn't happen certainly all the time, but it can happen where you have a disturbance or some kind of violence being committed in a store where you happen to be there, and you might not be able to use the front doors for an exit. Look around, see where there are other possible exits are located. And again, just not something to make you paranoid, but it's just something that everybody should do, whether you're going shopping, whether you're eating at a restaurant. Just take a moment to check and see where the exits are, so that if you have to, in an emergency, you'll be able to get out.
Yep. A lot of the advice for folks who are shopping at brick and mortar stores is similar to your advice of when traveling. You mentioned, keep your head on a swivel. Those pickpockets are here in the United States too, and they're at the mall because they know there are going to be crowds. So, Jesse, your advice about wearing a bag that has a good heavy strap, wear it across your body, not over your shoulder. Area right, put that wallet in a front pocket or an inside coat pocket. Same with your phone. Don't forget, your phone has a lot of stuff on it. If you're walking around with it in your hand, somebody can come up, snatch it out of your hand, and they'll be gone. And then they might have bank information, contact information, maybe a credit card or two. So you don't want that to happen.
Hey, Clark.
Yeah.
Hey, while you're on that, I just found I have a friend. I had no idea that they did this, but this particular friend doesn't even have a passcode on their phone. So all somebody has to do is just turn the phone on, and they have access to all of their information that's kept in the phone. And I was shocked. I didn't think anybody would ever not have a password or something on their phones to keep other individuals out. But there are people out there that do.
Yeah, first thing you should do is, and if you can't do it, Jesse, you're right, find a teenager and do it.
That's so true. Even a preteen could do it. They don't have to be a teenager.
But I mean, at least a 4-digit passcode. I have a fingerprint, which and nobody's going to want anything on my phone badly enough to, cut my finger off and take it with them if they steal my phone. So that's another thing, is make sure that phone is secure, but also keep it in your hand, because somebody might just grab it and sell it. Oh, some tried and true tips that we used to talk about a lot back when the mall was the only place to do your Christmas shopping. Park in a well-lit area. Make sure you're close to the stores. Don't force yourself to walk all the way across a possibly dimly lit parking lot to get to your car when your arms are full of purchases. You got stuff. People are going to take that stuff. Lock them up in the trunk, lock them up in the car, especially if you're going to go back into stores or if you're going to stop on your way home to get something to eat. Don't take your cash out. Your advice when traveling about carrying a lot of cash, Harry, is same thing if you're here in the States, close to home, just at the mall. Don't take too much cash, but if you want to pay with cash, don't take it all out at once, and don't take it out unless somebody asks you for it. You don't want to be, flashing a wad of $50 bills at the cash register until somebody asks you for it. Use one credit card if you can. The fewer credit cards you use, the fewer chances there are for somebody to get a hold of your information or for you to be the victim of a data breach somewhere down the road. Save your receipts. Use a credit card, not a debit card, particularly if you're shopping online. If you're shopping with your kids, and this is, again, kind of a tried but true scenario, make sure you've got a central location for everybody to meet up. If you're going to split up, and the kids are old enough to shop by themselves, make sure you've got a central location for them to meet up, and tell them to ask a store employee or a security guard for help if they get lost. Back in the day, my mom used to say, if you get lost, just go over to a checkout person and they'll stand you up on the checkout line, and you will be. And it makes perfect sense. Stand you up at the cash register. I'll be able to.
Whose kid is this?
Someone come claim him.
That is exactly what they would do. It was very low tech, but it was effective, And so those are just some of the things that my experience in retail is that, especially at holiday times, stores get incredibly crowded. You can turn around, Jesse, I'm sure you've had this experience. You turn to look at something on a shelf or a rack, you turn around, kid's gone, totally gone, nowhere to be found. Real quick, one of the first places to look in the clothing department, in the spare racks.
Oh my gosh, every time.
They love to climb
Every time.
under the dresses, under the coats, whatever it is. And they'll just be sitting there, just biding their time, playing fork, and you'll be going crazy looking for them. But anyway.
But if you have lost your child, one of the best advice tips I got was do not yell out your child's name. That does not assist anyone in helping you find your child. Yell what your child is wearing. So brown hair, green eyes, purple shirt, and just keep going around. Because if there are parents around you that can see in a vantage spot that you can't, I don't know what your child's name is, but that doesn't help me identify what they might look like. So identifying like what factors you are, especially in a larger place like a mall or an amusement park, allows people around you to see them. And also if someone, God forbid, has like tried to grab your child, now they know that that child is not with the person who they're supposed to be with. And if you are traveling with your child, make sure you show them what a security guard in each of these places looks like. So if you're at a different store, they don't all look the same. And so kind of identifying what they look like is really helpful, especially with younger children.
Right. And the reverse of that advice about calling out the child's name, let your child know that it's okay to yell out your name, because if they yell out mommy, 100 mommies are going to turn around.
Exactly. Yes. If they're old enough, have them know your name and full name. Yeah.
A lot of us are shopping online. And that debit card information, that debit card advice is good advice. It comes from the banks because if somebody does get a hold of your information and try to make a fraudulent purchase, it's going to be a lot easier to fight that fraudulent purchase with a credit card and with a debit card. Research where you're shopping. Make sure you're doing business with companies you know and you trust, and especially you've been there before. I ran afoul of this when I found a company that sold Ohio State jerseys with the names of the players on the back and thought I was getting a good deal. And it turned out that no such company existed, and neither was there a jersey, nor was there any evidence that the company ever actually existed. So the bank let me know that a mysterious charge had been made on my card. I went in, we called the fraud department. They said, oh, yeah, this site's fraudulent. Look, look all the way down at the bottom where the writing is, where all the copyright information would be. It's in Chinese. Okay, should have been my first clue. Watch for bad grammar, watch for misspellings. Those are signs that this is a fraudulent website. And of course, first instinct, if it looks like too good a deal, it probably is.
And a lot of them have dupes in the title. So be very, very careful. It can say like Amazon.com and then there's like an extra dot something at the end. So it requires a very clear eye, and make sure you look at it before you hit purchase.
Absolutely. Watch for the little lock icon in the URL line. That means it's a secure website. Also, the prefix HTTPS. S stands for secure. So those are websites that you can trust to keep your data safe, and they're probably legitimate websites, and it's safe to stop there or shop there. Harry, keep those passwords safe. You know, if you're going to have a phone that doesn't even have an unlock code on it, don't keep your passwords in your phone or on a piece of paper or in your pocket or whatever. Make sure you've got those in a secure location, and it makes it more and more difficult the more and more passwords you have and the more complicated they need to be. But find a system for yourself so that you can keep those passwords safe. One tip I heard that makes things really cumbersome, but is probably almost foolproof. That is, every time you get ready to shop or you think you're going to shop on a website, click that forgot password link. Just set up a new password for that one time. And then go ahead and make your purchase. Next time you go to that website, do it again. Yeah, it's real cumbersome, but it's also real secure.
And Clark, I would just mention regarding passwords, there's most people have access to a password manager that, you have to log in order for you to retrieve that particular password for that site. So that's an easy way to, you keep all your passwords in a secure location, that rather than, like you said, maybe, carrying a password around with you or something like that. You've got it there when you need it and that. So I think that's important. And, I would also just echo what you said regarding the URL. If you get emails and things from somebody, make sure you look beyond what name they populate. It might say Amazon, but when you hover your mouse over the address, it comes up to, like Jessica at
throwing me under the bus over here. I guess if I'm ever going to do a crime, I guess it's a white collar one. That's what we're establishing here.
Yeah.
So that's really important for people to understand that, these are professional bad guys, if you will, and they can make things look just like the regular, your bank website or, a credit card website. And so you have to be very careful of that, and don't ever respond to a link. Go to the website directly yourself.
Absolutely.
Same with text messages. There have been so many of them saying, we can't deliver a package. We are unable to deliver this package. I do not have a package coming. So I know that is not true. But in the holidays, when we have so many things being delivered, we might not remember. So they're not going to send you a text message saying, we cannot deliver this package. Amazon will send you an email or put something in your account.
The two-factor authorization is huge too.
Yeah.
When you're signing into your bank account or credit card account, it seems like such a hassle. You put in your password and then they want to send you a password or a code for you to plug into the next step. It clearly is more time consuming, but you want to make sure that you do set up two-factor authorization so that you're notified when someone's trying to sign into your account, even if that's you. Go through take an extra 30 seconds and go through the process. But it's actually keeping you safe. So
And like your advice when traveling, Harry, and Jesse too, don't use public Wi-Fi. Don't sit down at Panera and start buying that stuff, that you thought about buying for your nephew. Wait till you get home and you use your own secure Wi-Fi or use a VPN. And when be aware of emails and texts, anything that sends your spidey sense of tingling, double check the address it came from. If it says it's from Amazon, but it comes from, Trombitas.com, just to throw somebody else under the bus.
Thanks. Not zeroed in on me.
Yeah, then you do not want to answer that email or go there, because even answering or responding to an email can at least tell somebody there's a person at your email address, because so many of these bots and these automated operations are simply phishing for places where people will answer the phone or answer an email or whatever. Just don't let them know you're there. If you don't think that is a legitimate text or legitimate email, don't click on a link by all means, and just delete it. Like you said, if it's really Amazon, they're going to get a hold of you, but don't just assume that somebody says, your payment was denied or your package cannot be delivered, that's a legitimate concern for you to be worried about. And Jesse, you're absolutely right. This time of year, you might be thinking you're doing somebody a favor by putting their cell phone number in for delivery notifications. But at that point, it's complete confusion as to whether that notification is actually coming from the delivery company or whether it's coming from a bot.
Yeah.
So what else? Anything we've overlooked, Jesse?
I have one little fun fact, and this will tell you a lot about my criminal history, gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
If you are traveling with gifts, my biggest piece of advice is to try not to wrap them before putting them in through the security checkpoint, just to save yourself a little bit of hassle in the event that they do need to open up that box, check that gift, whatever you purchased. Fun fact, I went to India and brought back a marble elephant. And they thought that marble elephant was not actually a whole marble elephant. They thought it was hollowed out with like things in it. And I spent a lot of time in security until they pulled it out and realized that it was very, very, very heavy. So moral of the story is it was a real marble elephant, but I would hate for you to wrap all those packages so nicely and then have to break them open in case someone needs to look at them.
Good advice.
Then don't forget you can ship packages home.
Oh, yeah, good point.
As well, so you don't have to hassle it going through security checkpoints and that. So, if that option is available to you, you may want to take advantage of that.
I know people who even ship their clothes home. If they're traveling for a long time, they'll instead of packing a suitcase, they'll pack clothes into a box, ship it to where they're going, and then ship it home.
Or golf clubs, for example. I know that, don't want to hassle with carrying their golf clubs, so they ship them. That's another possibility. One of the things that I want to stress to people, especially when you're flying, is just be patient, use common courtesy on the aircraft. The flight attendants are not your enemy, and they're not your servant. And so, I would suggest bringing wipes, like Clorox wipes or something, put them in a little plastic baggie so you get through security, but wiping your tray down and your armrests and things like that, because Lord knows they don't have time to infect the plane every time. So they may pick up the obvious stuff, but there could be germs everywhere else on there. Again, exercise patience. People are typically nervous. They don't like to travel. I don't particularly like to travel, but it's a necessary evil, I think, anymore. Think about what you do, how it affects your passengers, your fellow passengers. For example, I remember one time, and I've seen it on video before, a woman sitting in front of me had long hair, so she put her hair over the back of the of the seat, and it's hanging down like where I would have my tray in that. And
All women with long hair, that's not normal.
yeah,
No.
no. And I thought she would put it away, right? Like, okay. And then lean back and put and she did. It just kept laying over the back of the seat in front of me onto my tray area. I finally had to tell her, and she didn't particularly like that. And, so I should not have to, have somebody else's hair lay on my tray. So if you have long hair, be careful about that. Another time I was flying, there was a gentleman that sat next to me, and he took his shoes off.
Oh, don't take your shoes off on the plane.
He just took his shoes off. So his bare feet are out on the floor, and he put them up on the, one of the armrests kind of thing. And so,
no.
Come on.
No.
You may put your feet up on the table at home in your bare feet or whatever, but, come on, have some common sense and don't do it on an aircraft. And the other thing, and then I'll shut up about things that bother me.
We could do a whole episode, things that bother Harry when traveling.
Oh my God. There's
behind the scenes. Here we go, people.
Oh my God. Sometimes if you feel like you need to educate everybody on the right thing to do. I don't know, what people are thinking sometimes. But again, when you're on a plane, be patient. Try to use the overhead compartment that belongs with your seat area. So many times I see people, trying to use some other area, and it takes away from that person's ability to put their overhead bag over where they're sitting in that. So just be patient. And then when the plane lands and everybody's kind of in a hurry to get off the plane, take your time. Don't feel that you need to rush to the front of the plane ahead of everybody else, because what you need to do is more important than anybody else's, need to get off the plane. So again, there's kind of a procedure that we all go through. You kind of go row by row and, try to stick to that. And whatever you do, if don't get into an argument with somebody on the plane and get it so out of control that they have to call the police.
From personal experience, this sounds like a story of personal experience. Okay,
I am the most passive person in the world when it comes to flying, because I don't want to get a federal crime charge because
because the people that would take you in.
That's right. What happens behind those closed doors.
Yeah, don't lose your patience. Don't lose control. Don't yell at people. Just
delays the flight.
Somebody's bothering you, talk to a flight attendant and say, "Hey, this person's doing this or that," and let them deal with it. Don't you try to take matters into your own
Tell them to tell the person to put the shoes back on. Flying is just not everybody's favorite thing to do, but it's very necessary for a lot of folks at this time of year in order to get out there and see friends and see relatives and spend time with them without, spending a couple of days on the road. So anyway, good advice, good reminders from both of us, all three of us on the show. We appreciate that. Jessie, real quick, how can people find us and then share us and recommend us to their friends and family?
Absolutely. Make sure to subscribe or follow on all of your favorite podcast platforms, as well as YouTube. We're also on Instagram. And when you hit that subscribe and follow, you'll get notifications for our second season, as well as making sure you share this with as many people as you like so that you can be all there when our second season launches.
Excellent. And we will see you then. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season for retired Special Agent Harry Trombitas and for Jessie Hemmelgarn. I'm Clark Donley. This is Off the Record, the FBI Agent's Perspective. Happy holidays. See you next time.
Off the Record, an FBI Agent's Perspective is created and hosted by Clark Donley, Harry Trombitas, and Jessie Hemmelgarn. Produced by Jessie Hemmelgarn. Stories in this podcast are inspired by Harry Trombitas' autobiography, Dark Places, about his time in the FBI. Music is called Cruise in the Back and is available on Storyblocks. You can find this podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and on our website.